Hey all, today is May 4th. Oh, May 4th. Whoever is a Star Wars fan, may the 4th be with you. Welcome to our meeting number 17. We abide by Konveyor Code of Conduct, which means please be nice to one another. And I am going to put the agenda link in the chat again. If you're attending this meeting, please add yourself to the agenda. Now, the first topic that we have today is from David. There is a demo that is planned. Please, David, take it away.
Wow, that was fast. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, so what I'd like to show off today is our what I've been working on in my attempt to make myself a UI developer of sorts is helping with some of the UI features. So, and one of the features that's being worked on is to be able to manage migration waves. In the UI, so I'm not quite sure how you're able to build. So this is like I took main and enabled this feature when I started it up. I'm not sure how we are able to enable this feature with just a build of the UI. But so what I wanted to show is now we are able to create migration waves. So you can see that we have the migration waves page, and the work that I've been doing the past couple of weeks has been to enable this nice, pretty form. And you can specify the name of your migration wave. You have a start and an end date. And what we can do is you can select the date that your migration wave is going to start. And if you try and select some date that's before today, it's just not going to work. So like if I were to say May 1st, it wouldn't be happy with you. So, and you can also set an end date for your migration wave. So let's say the 21st. The other cool validation, I guess, is to say you can't have your end date be before the start date. So this is just some of the things that we've done, and you can add stakeholders and stakeholder groups to your migration wave, and we can create it. So there's a lot of other things to be done as far as managing migration waves. The primary purpose of this task was to make it so users could create them from the UI. That's all I have.
Thank you, David. Does anyone have any questions for David?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to provide a little bit of context for those who might not be familiar with the feature. The idea of waves is about being able to group your applications in different waves, because when you are doing, you're trying to execute a larger scale migration projects and you have hundreds of thousands of applications, you are not going to do it everything at once. So the idea behind waves is allowing the user, the enterprise architect, or the project manager to group applications in different waves, based on different criteria. In this first iteration, the idea is to make it the whole thing manual, but in the future, the idea is to have some automated assignment to different waves based on criteria of affinity or anti-affinity based on different tags. But at least for the moment, it's a manual way of breaking your application inventory into different waves and then tackle each one of these waves as you move forward with the modernization migration project. And there's an enhancement for this. I'll share the link. So yeah, that's a bit of context for those who were feeling maybe a little bit lost about this. You have the link for the enhancement in here.
Thank you, Ramon. Does anyone have any questions? All right. Moving on to the next one from Pranav.
Yep. Sharing my screen now. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Awesome. All right. So we are doing the third demo of the analyzer work. In the past, we have done two demos so far, showcasing some of the basic functionalities around functionalities we developed around the LSP analyzers. The big, I'll just go through the highlights of the demo. I'm not actually going to do a 100% full demo here because it takes about 20 minutes to go through the entire demo, but I have the screen capture of the demo for folks who are interested in, but I'll just go over the highlights of what's covered. So the big highlight of the third demo is the wind-up integration part. We have been working on developing a shim that basically can convert the wind-up rules into the new LSP analyzer format. It can also run them using the new analyzers, and it can also run tests. So now these tests are present in the wind-up project. They are basically running the test to figure out whether the output that's generated from the rules is accurate or not. So it's basically goes to the granularity of the accuracy of the report for the given rules. So there's a shim right now that can do all of these things. We have end-to-end tests that run the same tests whenever you open a new PR on the repo. So it's going to go through all the tests and run and basically show a badge in the repo showing the actual percentage of tests that are passing. And we can easily compare that with the main branch and see if you introduced a breakage or not. The third goal was to, besides just creating the shim, the third goal was to meet 80% parity in terms of test coverage with the wind-up rules. And we have pretty much achieved that so far. The second, and then I'll go into the actual analyzer changes that went in. We made some improvements in the dependency generation part. The first improvement was we improved CLI a little bit. We are actually using the provider config and running dependencies for all providers that provide the dependency capability. We also wrote a fallback parser for Java, which was a big thing. Like that pushed us in the rules parity a lot because of some of the version strings and whatnot in the wind-up project were not proper. So we wrote a fallback parser to parse dependencies in those cases. And we also added support for discovering jar files along with what's reported by Maven. Next up, we have some improvements in the analyzer themselves. The big change from the last demo is that we have removed the chain condition from the rules. So in the rules format, chain is basically implicit. We used to have an explicit chain block to handle that, but that chain basically becomes implicit, and you don't need the chain construct at all. We also added support for handling multiple rules organized via rule sets. So we and that basically enables us to run the wind-up rule sets. So that's a foundational piece. Uh, we also added some support for bringing the actual code snippets of source code matches and showing them in the violations. And we added support for custom variables. That's also one of the foundational things that helped us get to the 80% number. A lot of other fixes went in. They're not. I have not listed them here, but all of them have been mostly in the Java provider and the analyzer bundle that we've been working on. But yeah, a lot of those small fixes. And we have also started improving documentation a little bit. We have documented the rule format. We have some basic documentation for setting up providers and running the analyzers in general. Okay, so next up, I have the wind-up shim demo. We created a wind-up shim repo this week, so we don't have really great documentation in the repo itself. So I thought maybe I just paste the details here. I'm not going to actually run the demo because it takes, as I said, 20 minutes to run the whole thing. But you can follow these steps to run the demo on your local machines. Really, just there are 3 steps. The first step is to get that JDTLS, which is the language server for Java. We have bundled that in an image. So you get that image. Next thing you do is you clone the analyzer repo and run the analyzer image from it. Once you do that, you go to the wind-up shim repo. You clone that repo, and there's a Docker file in the repo. It uses the analyzer LSP image that we built. And in this image itself uses that Java server JDTLS base image. So you're going to need both of those images first. Once you have those, you basically build this Docker file. You can just run podman build. And lastly, you run the test by running that image and passing 2 parameters. The first is test, and second is the rule sets that you pass to the test. These rule sets are right now baked into that image, so you're just going to pass the path to one of the rule sets that you want to run against. And I have a screen capture of the test run here. This is what it looks like when you run that Docker file. I'm going to skip over some of that. Right, so I just have one subset of the rule sets running. I don't have the entire thing in here, but the idea is that, as you can see in the output, the shim is going through each and every rule set that's passed, and it's finding an associated test from the wind-up rule sets repo, and it's basically running that test using the analyzer, using the LSP analyzer. And in the process, it's converting the wind-up XML rules into the analyzer format, and then it's running the LSP analyzers, and then it's basically running the test against the analyzer output to see if all of the if the contents of the report are correct or not. And then you get these pass or fail, and most importantly, you get the overall success rate, which shows you the entire success rate of tests from like across the entire rule set. Yeah. Any questions so far? All right, I'll move ahead. Yeah, that's all I had for the demo. Is Sean on the call? He had a small demo where he wanted to demonstrate the code snippets and the variable stuff. Okay. Hey, Sean.
Hey folks, how's it going? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen
Awesome.
and let me know when you see my terminal, if you could, Pranav.
Good.
John's going to show me. That's fun.
Oh, you're both together.
Yeah, we are in the office. Okay, cool. Is this big enough, or do I need to make it bigger for folks?
Looks good, yeah.
Looks good.
Cool. Awesome. So just to give a little bit of background, what we're focusing on today is some enhancements to the rules and the rule engine itself. What we came across in some of our testing, which was awesome that we were able to find these like real world use cases from the effort we did with integrating the test that Pranav just showed, was that you may have a case where you want to pull some information out of a given violation message and then template that in the given message that you give to the user. So we have already added support for templating messages, and you can see that up here where like dependency is using name with versions. You can get specific versions or names. But what we didn't have was the ability to actually pull these out yourself and name these variables. You had to rely on the provider to provide you with those given variables. So what we ended up doing was adding this field called custom variables, and you can pass in patterns and you can name the variable. So in this case, I'm saying use this regex pattern to find the variable name. And so in this case, I know I'm calling a method call and I'm looking for the specific method call on this generic class called get. And so what I'm trying to find is the variable name of that generic class inside the code base. Are there any questions around that real fast? Cool. So if we could just go ahead and build the Docker file, should happen fairly quickly because I just did it. And then we're going to go ahead and run this Docker file. Like we do with most of our testing, you just go ahead and run the file after you create it and or run the image. We're going and building the binary now. Now it's running, and this is going to be running through all of our different examples right now for our integration tests. So, so one of the nice things about this is that you can end up really starting to build out more generic rules that are able to give more and more detailed responses. And so one of the cases that we found in is in the WebSphere rules in Windup. And what they end up doing is it's a renaming of like specific Java packages coming from vendors that got moved into like the core Java language. And so what you end up having to do is look for all these instances of things that look similar. And then you have to pull out that information to template the given rule. And so the rule ends up finding like 9 or 10 different types of things and converts them all into and comes up with like 9 or 10 different violations that tells you like you need to move to the core Java package. So it's a really powerful tool for rule authors to use. And so we're just going to go up here. We are going to find the language reference 4. So this is the one that we were looking at. And you can see here that we have variable name of element. And so one of the things to point out is that you basically get this by what we're calling code snip, which names are open to change. But this is actually pulling the code out of the given location that we get back from language servers. And so we've added this across all of our different providers today. You can see right here that code snip right here, and this actually happens in the engine. All of the provider or provider author has to do is provide the locations, and we're able to go and pull those files and do that ourselves inside the engine. So it's really generic and useful for anybody who wants to use that feature. So are there any questions? Cool. Thanks, everybody. That's all I had.
I'm gonna take this.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
Pranav.
take the screen away for another 2 slides I have. Sorry. Okay, I just wanted to share with folks some important links. As I said, we created this repository to get the shim work in here. So it's light on the documentation, but we'll get a README written soon. But this is where the shim is, and most of you are already familiar with the analyzer repo, and we have under, if you go to the Konveyor projects analyzers, all of the ongoing work that so all of us are working on right now is under demo D, so you can follow that work. Future work in analyzers, we are mainly working on adding some of the CLI options. Then the next thing is we are going to have a label selector to filter rules, and we also need to add. We are also working on adding support for binary decompilation part. In the windup shim, we are continuing to improve beyond the initial 80% on the rule tests parity. And one major thing that's going on is integrating into Konveyor. So that's for the dynamic reports generation part. That's all I had. Huge shout out to Fabian and Sean for working on the shim and getting to that 80% number. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranav and Sean, for the awesome demo, and thank you, Analyzers team. This slides and the context and everything is so helpful for people like me, who's part of Konveyor but don't know everything in that. So this is like really cool. Thank you. And folks who are watching, if you're interested to learn more or if you have any questions about the analyzer work or any of the Konveyor work, we do have office hours that alternates every Thursday with the community meeting. So we have one next week at 11:30, I think. The time recently changed. I need to look up. If I'm not wrong, it's 11:30 Eastern next week, next Thursday. If someone can find the time, just put in the chat. Otherwise, I'll go and check it out later. Now that we have come to the end of the agenda, we don't have any open discussion items. So I'm going to open it up floor. If anyone has anything that they want to bring it up, this is your chance. Tough crowd again. Okay, going once, twice, thrice. All right, all. I will see you all soon in one of the meetings next week or in a couple of weeks. Until then, it's bye from me. Have a good day.
Bye bye. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, folks.